Okay, good morning everyone and welcome to Friday Morning Fuel. My name is Daniela and this morning we will be making spiced cinnamon oatmeal breakfast cookies, okay? And these cookies are like hearty, good cookies. Don't worry, they are full of very wholesome ingredients, so they are great for anyone in the family to enjoy. We are officially entering the fall season, and I just feel like it's the end of the quarter. We're all just feeling a lot of pressure, right? So I wanted to just have a little fun this morning and make some cookies that you can enjoy. Now these cookies, you can save them for like 3 to 4 days in the refrigerator, or you can freeze them for up to 2 months. And I'm gonna just show you kind of like the base, I guess like the base recipe of the cookie, and that way what's great about it is that you can kind of mix and match like those add-ons. If you don't want spiced cinnamon apple, you can do like blueberries and walnuts, or cranberries and almonds. You can mix it up however you want, which is the great thing about these cookies. You can make them all about you, which is what I always say, right? You make nutrition about you. Gotta find my vanilla here. All right, so let's get started. We are going to first mix our dry ingredients and then mix our wet ingredients, okay? So we will start with a cup of rolled oats. So if you just, grab your old-fashioned oats here, grab a cup, and we will pour it into our bowl. All right, so 1 cup going into our bowl. And then we are going to use a 1/4 cup of, the recipe calls for whole wheat flour, but I'm using just gluten-free all-purpose flour. Another way to make gluten-free flour or non-wheat flour, you can actually take oats, like if you have a food processor or blender, you can blend up these oats and make flour out of them. I did not do that ahead of time because I actually just happen to have gluten-free all-purpose flour. So lots of options there for you. And we will just take a 1/4 cup. Oops. Full disclaimer, I didn't prepare all the ingredients ahead of time, so you can actually see me doing it all. So you might see some spills. All right, 1/4 cup of our flour here. And we will add in a 1/4 cup of flaxseed. So our flaxseed is going to serve as a great source of omega-3 fatty acids for our cookies. And if you did not get enough fiber this week, don't worry, we've got you covered. 1/4 cup of flaxseed here. All right, we will add in, recipe calls for I think a teaspoon or 2 of cinnamon. You all know me, I like to go crazy with the cinnamon, so just have fun with that. I'm just gonna throw in some dashes of cinnamon in there. Okay, so let me make sure I've got all of our ingredients. And I'm gonna add in a scoop of vanilla protein powder, which I am down to my last scoop. I saved it for you all. And of course, you can use unflavored protein powder. You can mix in collagen powder if you'd like. If you don't have protein powder, you can honestly skip it because of the oats, of the flaxseed, of the almond butter. You're gonna get plenty of protein in these cookies anyways. I just wanted to add in a little extra. So don't worry if you don't have protein powder. If you just choose to skip it, you're still gonna get a great balanced cookie because of the protein from all of your other ingredients as well. And if you want to skip the protein powder but kind of mix it up and add in hemp seeds, have a higher content in protein than flaxseed does. But again, up to you. Make it all about you and what you enjoy to what you enjoy eating. All right, so we have all of our dry ingredients mixed up. So for those on Skype, I don't know if you can see it, but this is what it will look like, okay? All right, we'll set that aside for just a second. We will mix up all of our wet ingredients. Okay, so we're gonna take a banana and mash it up. Let me grab my banana. I know I'm like breaking the golden rule of Friday morning fuel using the whole banana, but don't worry, it's gonna, this recipe makes about 5 to 6 cookies, so it'll be spread out across a few cookies, and you won't just have it a whole banana in one setting. So we'll mash up that banana. And a fork. Let me grab a fork real quick. Okay, I'll use my masher instead. It's one of those mornings, no clean forks. We need to do the dishes. Right, so we will mash up our banana. This is actually not a great bowl, but that's okay. This might work better. Using a small spoon, mash up my banana. So this whole week, as we've been like transitioning officially to fall, I've been thinking about like about you all and thinking about like I often have a hard time transitioning from summer to fall. I think I mentioned that in one of our smoothie demos a few weeks ago, and we talked about you know, kind of creating some new pathways in our brain by just being intentional with the choices that we make. So I wanted to give you all some of my own favorite tips around transitioning from summer to fall. And it does get hard because like the days are getting shorter, the weather's getting colder, you're less likely to spend time outside, you're less likely to take in some vitamin D. So if that's you, I just want to remind you all, vitamin D whenever you can. So vitamin D, you can get that from sources like eggs, mushrooms, salmon, or a vitamin D supplement. Your green leafy vegetables are also great sources of vitamin D, but just make sure that you are still paying attention to that, your vitamin D levels, because they do highly impact your mood. And your mood also impacts the other choices that you make during the winter time. So make sure that you are being mindful of your vitamin D levels, especially if you're not getting outside as much, which tends to happen in the fall season, of course, for everyone. All right, we're gonna add in a ½ cup of almond butter to our banana. And then we will do a 1/4 cup of maple syrup. Recipe calls for honey, but you can use maple syrup if you're, you know, going the vegan route here. So I'm just gonna fill this halfway. It's 1/4 cup. But you are more than welcome to use honey if you prefer honey. And I'm going to just I'll do it this way. Grate in some ginger. So I've chopped up a little piece of ginger here. So this is where your spice is going to come from. So any of you that have had ginger before, you know, tends to be like more of a spicy ingredient. But ginger is actually a great ingredient for immune support, which is also great during this time as we transition from the hotter to colder weather. So some of you I know are feeling judged in public because you have sniffles, but you're just dealing with seasonal allergies. So do not worry. All right, so we will mix all of this up, all of our wet ingredients. Let me double check because I feel like I missed something. These cookies have a lot more ingredients than what I normally do. Okay, I think that's good. So we'll mix this all up. So you're mixing up your banana, your maple syrup, your ginger, Okay, so now we will add all of our ingredients together. So I'm taking my dry ingredients and I'm going to add in the wet ingredients. And I'm just going to do this in just like little batches. I'm not going to do like the whole thing at once. And then you're just going to fold it in there. So for those of you that are not culinary minded, I'm not either. I don't actually know what that means. But I just like to say it because this is a cooking show, right? But what I think it means is you kind of just like fold it over, right? So if any of you have any culinary smarts, and I'm doing it wrong, please let me know. So we're just folding it in, but great news. You don't have to know all the culinary terms and techniques, because I don't, and I made this recipe last night ahead of time, so we don't have to wait 15 minutes for these cookies to bake. And they turned out great, so don't worry. Okay, so I've added in the rest of my wet ingredients to my dry ingredients, and again, being real fancy here, folding in my ingredients. So earlier I talked about like the base recipe. So I went ahead and added in the ginger, but if you don't like ginger or don't want to use ginger, go ahead and skip that part in the wet ingredients, and then you'll have this very nice like base oatmeal breakfast cookie recipe, and then you can add in all the other ingredients that you do want. So at this point, when everything's mixed pretty well, it's going to start to get like pretty thick. You can kind of see that. And this is your cookie dough. So here you can add in the other ingredients that you'd like to make this cookie your own. It's Fun Friday. Add in some chocolate chips if you'd like. I'm going to add in some diced apples. So we'll go ahead and do that. So adding in some diced apples. I just really like the smell of like cinnamon apple in the fall, which is why I wanted to make this recipe. But I also think it's a great option for any like quick breakfast ideas that you might be looking for. Or if any of you are just wanting some like comfort food for breakfast, oatmeal breakfast cookies are the way to go. They are, like I said, they are very hearty. I would recommend 2 as a serving size. Don't get crazy. And you save the rest for either another day, or you can use these as like a snack later in the day as well if you don't want to have them for breakfast. But, now that fall's here, we are going to get into some like warmer, we're going to maybe step away from the smoothies for a little while, get into some like warmer breakfast options, which reminds me, I meant to say this at the very beginning. Thank you for those of you that contributed to our member survey and provided some feedback. Some of you said that you wanted to do some quick lunch ideas on Friday Morning Fuel. We got you covered, don't worry. So those are coming soon, so tune in next week, okay? All right, so we have our cookie dough ready, and all you're going to do is take your 4th cup, measuring cup, and you are going to just scoop it out and then form your cookies, and you're going to put them on your baking sheet. So your oven should be preheated 350. I've got my baking sheet, and it is previously greased, or you can use parchment paper. So I'll just add the cookies, and I like to just smash them down. They're certainly not going to look very like a perfect round cookie. It's kind of like a lump, but they taste delicious. Another thing that you might want to be paying attention to, in addition to your vitamin D levels, is your sleep. I know we talk about sleep like all year round, but trust me, it's good to have the reminder. Even I need the reminders to kind of go back to the basics from time to time. And so you want to really start looking at regulating your sleep schedule, and that's paying attention to what time you're going to bed, what time you're getting up, making sure that time is, within 30 minutes to an hour each night, so you're not kind of like all these different hours around the clock. And then also just make sure that your bedroom is dark. You don't want any incoming light to disturb your sleep pattern. And then also make sure that your bedroom is nice and cool. Somewhere between 65 to 72 degrees is been shown to be like the best sleeping temperature. So those are just some tips for you. Paying attention to your vitamin D levels and your sleep. As you kind of go into the fall season, those days get darker, you feel less motivated. Pay attention to vitamin D and sleep. That's going to help you out a lot, okay? All right, so we have our breakfast cookies on our baking sheet. See how they don't look like perfectly good cookies, but they taste delicious. So we're just going to put them in the oven for anywhere 14 to 16 minutes. If you like your cookies a little bit on the softer side, bake for 14. If you like them a little bit more crunchy, just wait the extra 2 or 3 minutes on there. So I'll set my timer. Okay, don't worry though, because this is a cooking show, we have some prepared ahead of time. Sorry, today's Friday morning fuel is going a lot longer, but appreciate you all sticking with me. We have some pre-made cookies here. So this is what they'll look like baked, already done. And like I said, you can store them for 3 or 4 days in the refrigerator, and you can freeze them for up to 2 months. So if you want to like double up or triple up on this recipe and just make a bunch and save them, feel free to do so. I'm gonna have a bite of my spice.